Hello, boys and girls. My name is Dominic. Welcome to another CocaCola tutorial. This will be a really fast tutorial because I don't want to go with you through this whole modeling process. I simply will show you what I did. First of all, I'm not really a modeling guy. At modeling I really suck, so I try to improve my skills right now in modeling and try to work on more complex projects, personal projects right now to improve my modeling skills. So what I was searching for was for modeling a glass Coke bottle in any 3D program, and what I found was a tutorial created for 3D Max, and I found it on cgforge.org. .org /tutorial/polymodeling a Coke bottle. We'll share this link with you in the description on VMO of my tutorial, and simply follow along all those steps he did here. He has all the numbers you need to create a Coke bottle. What I want to tell you in the first place is you can run the bevel command as he says. Also in Cinema4D the height will always be the height, so it will be the same value, but for the outline you need to flip it in Cinema4D. So when it says outline minus 0.65, you need to take a value of plus 0.65, and when it says a value of, I don't know, outline minus 0.7, you need to take an outline or an extrusion offset of 0.7 in Cinema4D. So let's jump into Cinema4D. I will demonstrate this to you. I will demonstrate this right now. Let's make this cylinder editable. Also, if you're working with a cylinder, and you will be creating in his tutorial a cylinder in the first place, you need to run one command in Cinema4D that you don't need to run in 3D Max, because the caps in 3D Max are already connected to the rest of the cylinder in 3D Max, but they are not connected in Cinema4D. So you will run into some problems later on in the modeling process if you don't fix that. So simply make the cylinder editable by pressing the C key on your keyboard. Go to the point mode, click Ctrl A, and simply do a right click and go to optimize. And when you go to optimize, the caps should now be connected to the rest of the cylinder, and then you can start working with all the bevel process and things like that. So simply get the basic shape right here, what he says. I don't know, I think these are 20 segments, and change the radius to 2.75 centimeters. Also work in centimeters, please, for Vray, to keep it in the right scale and to make it a little bit easier for Vray. And set the height to 1 centimeter and size to 20. Then make the cylinder editable. Go to point mode, click Ctrl A or Apple A, something like that, and select all points. Go do a right click and go to optimize, and this will fix the cylinder, and then you can start typing in all those numbers right here to get the basic shape of the Coke bottle. Later on in the tutorial he says the Coke bottle needs some thickness. Well, this is right. Glass needs to have some thickness, so you have real refractions in the bottle. So what you can do, you can use simulate claws knobs and change the thickness to 0.35, but I wouldn't recommend that. You get some crazy results sometimes. What you can also use is an explosion FX. So simply get the explosion FX, drop it under this, let me demonstrate this here, let me delete this cap right here, and let's drop the explosion FX under the cylinder. As you can see, this looks a little bit weird, so simply go into the explosion FX, go into object and change the time from 10% to 0%, and this keeps the cylinder together, and then go to cluster and change the thickness to a value that you wanna have. So let's say 3 centimeters. I think it's in the tutorial it's a value of 0.35. So simply change the value to 0.35, and as you can see, you have now some thickness. Let's click on the cylinder, go to objects, current state to object. Okay, why is it not working? Objects, current state to object. Okay, now it's working. And delete the cylinder here with the explosion FX, and what you have left is the cylinder with some thickness. Okay, The next thing you want to do is where he says, I think this is all pretty clear what you have to do here, things like that. Also here, how to select those. This isn't really a tutorial for beginners or something like that, so I think that you have some skills in modeling and also how to select polygons and how to keep them together, so hold down the shift key to select all polygons and things like that. So this is really basic modeling, but I hope you have those skills to simply follow along his tutorial. This is really basic stuff. What you also want to do, where he says, okay, we want to get some sharper edges right here, because if you put the cylinder later on in a HyperNURBS object, you will see you don't have on some places you don't have sharp edges. Where he says run a chamfer, you can simply use an extrude inner and simply select those polygons he has selected here. So select this polygon and this polygon and this polygon, and then simply select loop selection, select those polygons, go to extrude inner and extrude it a little bit inner, and you will see you will get sharp edges right here. Okay, so this was that. The next thing is where he says, okay, where you want to have what is it called in English? Click the slice plane button and blah 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 blah. Again, switch off the strands and switch to polygon. Yeah, where you have the label of the Coca-Cola bottle, so this is right in the middle of the bottle. You also want to get sharper edges, and what you can do here is you do a right click, go to knife, set the mode to loop, and then simply create two loops. I wouldn't create the loops where he does his loops, so he does it here and here. I would recommend to do your loops here and also here, and then you will have sharper edges where the label will be applied. But simply check it out, you will get the idea right away. Okay, then he also changes a little bit the cap down here, because the bottle is a little bit inverse down here. You will get the idea anyway. And then he will be creating the cap. If you do it with a cylinder, run the optimize again after you made the cylinder a basic shape, and make it editable, and run the optimize command again, so you don't run into any problems. You also have the height and the outline here. Flip the outline again in Cinema4D, so when it says 1.0.05, flip it to 0.05 and things like that, and create the cap. You might want to change the size a little bit of the cap so it really fits the Coca-Cola bottle, so simply use the scale tool till you don't have any problems. So this was the Coca-Cola bottle. When it's all about the texturing, simply I will share the scene file with you, so you will have the texture. And what I did some unwrapping also for the cap, so some UV unwrapping. If you want to do it in a different way, you can do a select loop selection. And how to do a UV unwrapping, please watch my channel tutorial. I think I will show you a YouTube link how to unwrap things and things like that. You can also select this here, right here, where you want to have applied the label. All the polygons where you want to have applied the label. Select those polygons, go to select, set selection, and then simply create a texture down here, a Vray texture, put it up here, drop the selection into the selection right here, and maybe go to cylindrical or something like that, and then apply the texture, load the texture in here into the color, texture, load image, and then you can play around till it fits the bottle. Okay, so this was that. You also need to change a little bit the alignment of the faces when you're finished. So if you click Ctrl A when you're in the polygon mode, you can see all the faces are looking in the right direction. So simply select maybe the inner faces later on, and do a right click and go to reverse normals, or go to align normals. Simply check my scene file how I aligned the normals in my bottle. so you get the right refraction for glass. And this is really important for glass and a lot of things for V-Ray. So V-Ray knows, okay, here I have some thickness, and here I have some air, and here I have no air, and here I have air, so the shot looks really realistic. So this is really important for you, how the normals are aligned. Okay, this was that I wanted to tell you. You also will get, let me open this up, here we have the cross dude, what? No. Okay, here we have the bottle shot. So you will get, here you have the liquid texture. What I did is I have some refraction here, and I enabled the volume fog. You can see an IOR of 1.34. Water would be something like 1.33. I wouldn't do a higher IOR than 1.35 for this. I also apply the SSS with some translucency color of this. The light multiplies at 1000. You really can play around with this, with those values to maybe get it a little bit better than me. But maybe you're already satisfied. I don't have any reflection or specular layer applied to this liquid because it is already an refraction layer, and it's not really necessary for this purpose. Also, the refraction color is a little bit set to gray. You can also make this a little bit brighter if you want to. Play around with those things if you want to. The meta ball is basically there for all those water drops on the bottle and also on the cap. So what I did, I took a meta ball, dropped in a cloner object, and then a null, and then a sphere, and I applied to the sphere this meta ball tag and changed the radius to 5 cm and the strength to 100 cm. In the cloner object I have here selected the cap, and in the other cloner object I have selected polygon selection, so this is the rest of the bottle, and I set object to the bottle and a count of 9000 clones of the sphere. What is not working is render instances, because if you're working with meta balls really needs the geometry to work, so you can't work with render instances with V-Ray, so this is really a problem. So you might have some problems in your viewport, but I changed the meta ball render subdivision to 0.09. So in the render the subdivision is really low, so it will take some time till it starts rendering, really depending on your machine. But in the editor I have the subdivision set to 0.1, so here in the editor viewport the subdivisions are not that low or high, so you can move still fast in the viewport, or fast enough. What I did for the ground is simply took a cloner object and applied a cube to it, and then simply set it to grid array, so you have a lot of cubes in the scene. And yeah, I simply set my bottle on one of the cubes, and this was it. I also set up some lights. These are simply area lights, V-Ray area lights, with some fall off, so no decay is deselected, subdivisions are a little bit high. In the render settings, as usual, you want to set up a linear workflow, and also set some indirect illumination. I'm working with an irradiance map light cache medium, anti-aliasing area. Checked on use DMC sample threshold, so I'm working with a DMC sampler as an anti-aliasing, and set the noise threshold to 0.05. So this is really working well. What I also did in the camera, you can put in the bottle into the focus object, and this might work in some cases, so you get a nice depth of field of the bottle. For me it didn't really work out well. I had some pieces of the bottle were blurred and some are not, so I simply changed the focus distance by myself, and this is 45 centimeters in this case, and enabled under sampling the depth of field in the Vray camera tag, subdivisions to 25, also enabled the bokeh effect, and yeah, this was it. The texture I already explained. I also did some color correction in After Effects. This wasn't really great. I just simply added some vignetting effect. You can also do this in the Vray physical camera. You can do a vignetting effect right here if you want to, but I would always recommend to do this in post work because you have a lot more of control in post work, and you also save maybe a little bit of render time. I'm not sure. I don't think a vignetting effect is really adding a lot of render time, but maybe something. But at least you in post production you have a little bit more of control for it. What I also did is I set up some planes right here, and wait, let me disable this light. This is only for the global illumination, so you have some reflections from this light here and here and here from the plane, so you have a little bit of a better global illumination. I don't think they help a lot, but I think they help a little bit, so I simply set up those two planes to have a little bit a better effect of the global illumination. Anything else I did? Anything else I want to tell you? Well, like I said, please check the normals of the bottle, how they are set up to get the right refraction inside of the bottle, and well, you also have some. Sorry. Oh, I need to yawn. It's really late over here. Sorry for that. I also set up some random effectors. I think they're applied to the cube. One is applied to the cubes, so the cubes are not all in the same place. And I think the other random effector is applied to the cloner of the main. No, it's not. Where is the second random effector applied? I'm not sure right now. Not here. Not here. Not here. Okay, this. Wait a second. Here we have that. Okay, random one. I also have a cloner object without meta balls because this is not necessary, but I also have a cloner object for some bubbles inside the Coke bottle. So you also have some bubbles going up inside of the Coke bottle. They are really static and they are not moving, so if you render out an animation or something like that, this wouldn't really work out. So they're just static for a still shot. You would need something like Espresso or something like a particle emitter to really make them animated. So this is simply for a still shot. I also gave those bubbles inside of the bottle the same liquid color. So I also applied the liquid color to those. Okay, so this was basically how I set up my scene. I have one light coming from here, so this is basically the main light, and it's giving a nice light here to the bottle, so you also have a better effect for the SSS or for the liquid inside of the bottle. So if you're working with subsurface scattering and things like that, you always need a really good light that is going through the bottle or through the surface, so you can see the subsurface scattering effect a little bit better. The rest of the other two lights are just fill lights, so I don't have too much shadows right here in the back of the bottle, so you also can read the texture good as well. The next thing you want to do if you want to break this bottle, and you will really run into a problem if you want to break a bottle with the liquid, because the liquid is really static in this shot, and if you break the bottle, this will not really look realistic. What you need to do is that to open up real flow, if you have real flow, and you would need to simulate or to export when a bullet flies through the Coke bottle and the bottle breaks, you need to export this shot and then simulate this whole thing in real flow, so the liquid really explodes with the bottle and things like that. This wouldn't work here. So if you want to do a bullet shot with the bottle, simply get rid of the liquid. I will delete this here right now. So let me delete the liquid, and also let me delete all those meta balls, so we have so we can work a little bit faster. And okay, here we have the bottle. Let's make this. Do we need to make this? Yeah, let's make this editable. Let's click on C on the hypernerb. So now we have the bottle. So we don't have. Yeah, now we have it in really high poly. And let's go to plugins, Drowsy, and let's click on random. And maybe let's also click on random seed pieces, maybe 8, and go to break now. And I think this was a little bit too much. Or no, it's working. It's working. Okay, this was it. I think we have now some breaks on the bottle. Let me check this. We should have now 8 pieces. I'm not sure in how many pieces a Coke bottle would really break apart when a bullet hits it. You might want to check this out. If you have a gun on your own, please don't shoot any people. Simply shoot the Coke bottle and see how many pieces you get, maybe. So you get a realistic result. I'm going with 8 pieces right now, and I will set when you break things with Drowsy, you already get this this dynamic tag right here right away. Drowsy adds this automatically, and what you want to do is you want to change the trigger from immediately to on collision, because if you leave it on immediately and you click on play, you see the bottle simply falls apart right away. So simply go to trigger on collision, and as soon as the bullet will hit the bottle will break apart. So let me switch off the light so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, and let's click on play, and as you can see, these are falling apart really fast. If you would have a floor right now, let me get the floor again. Right here, file, recent files open, no. Where we have the floor, here we have the floor, edit copy, and edit paste. Okay, so now we have here our, I also need the random effector and copy window. No. And paste. So I also need the random effector right here for my cloner. Which was it? Which one was it? Maybe this one? Yeah, this is the right one. You also wanna do you also wanna add a dynamic tag to your floor. If you have a plane, add a dynamic tag. If you have a cloner object like me with cubes in it to create a floor, simply do a simulation tag on the cloner. So rigid body, dynamics off. So this is simply a collider, nothing else. Trigger, and also, yeah, I think this should work already. Let me check this out. Yeah, this is working. Now it's working as a floor, and as you can see, the Coke bottle is breaking apart in 8 pieces. So this is basically it. If you want to animate it with a bullet, as I said, with liquids it will be really hard to create something realistic, because as you can see, the liquid here, this is the inside I used for the liquid. This is still not working great. You need to do a real flow simulation if you want to have this, if you want to add here some realism, and also you want to add a dynamic tag to the cap, so the cap also will fall down to the floor as soon as the bullet hits the bottle. So let's add a rigid body here as well, and trigger on collision, dynamic off. or dynamic on, I think dynamic on and on collision. So let's see what's happening now. When the bullet comes in, hits the bottle. Okay, this is not okay. Why is it not working? You might want to change the size increasement here, maybe to 5 centimeters to the cap. Let's see if that helps. No, this doesn't help. Maybe let's set it to immediately. No, wasn't a good idea. On collision, well, maybe let's increase the size increasement to maybe to 20, and let's go. Try it. Oh, this was too much. Let's change it down to 15. Bam. Okay. I don't know why it's starting off like a rocket. Let's change this to 10 centimeters. You also want to change of the bottle, maybe the bounce, because glass doesn't really have a bounce or something like that. And also the cap doesn't really have a lot of bounce, well, maybe a little bit, maybe something like 10%. And the friction, you also want to change the friction, maybe you also want to do this for the bottle. So simply go into the drowsy dynamic tag and change the bounce maybe to, I don't know, maybe to 5, maybe even 0% for glass. So let's check this again. Yeah, this might look a little bit more realistic. And you also need to fix the cap. I don't know why it's starting off like a rocket at the moment. I tried this already and it was working really fine, but I don't know what's the problem right now. So yeah, you need to check that out as well. But this would be basically breaking a bottle in Cinema4D apart in some pieces, as you can see. And if we would render this out, this would look, yeah, realistic as well. You still have the refraction and things like that, but we don't have any glass right now. Well, you might also, if you're going for an animation, you also want to turn off the DOF maybe, or the depth of field, and want to render out at set depth or something like that, so you have more control over the whole thing. This is really a setup for a still image, and I think you also need to fix the texture for all those pieces. And as I said, you also need to find a workaround for the main texture. There might also work a close tag and things like that. There are a lot of things that you can do, but you really need to check out some things on your own and find a workaround for some things. This is the same thing I do, and yeah. Okay, so this was basically the Coca-Cola tutorial. You get the scene file, and I hope this is really a lot or enough. And I tried to explain you the modeling process, what you can do and how to translate things a little bit from 3D Max to Cinema4D. Also, if you're doing a lot of Vray tutorials, or you want to work a lot with Vray and you want to go for realism and things like that, try to check out a lot of 3D Max and Maya tutorials. And try to translate them in Cinema4D. This isn't really hard, because if you're going for visual effects in Cinema4D, there aren't a lot of tutorials around on the internet. So simply search for 3D Max and Maya and look for a effect that you are after, or a still that you are after, and simply translate it and try to achieve the same effect in Cinema4D. Okay, well, this was my tutorial. Have fun with the scene file. Have fun with playing around with Drowsy, with breaking things apart. You might also want to check out RealFlow and try some simulations out and then animate the whole piece. If you have something to show, please also show it to me. If you have a still shot using my tutorial or animation using my tutorial, I would really love to see what you guys created. Yeah, so this was it. if you like it, what I do, and if you want to see more tutorials, please follow me on Facebook, please follow me on VMO, give me some likes if you want to. Also, if you don't like something or anything else, please leave a comment on my Facebook page or also on VMO and let me know. You might also know something better than me, then also let me know this. And yeah, I wish you a nice weekend, have fun with this tutorial, and also take my advice, check out other tutorials for other 3D programs and try to translate them into Cinema4D. And also, if you're wondering how to model a Coke bottle or how to do this and how to do that in a 3D program, there isn't always a right or a wrong way how to do things. And this is the same with the texture here on the bottle, how to fix that. It's simply the way that you come up with might be the right way. There might be a faster way, but it doesn't mean that your way is the wrong way. So simply go with your ideas, and don't be scared that anyone will say, man, damn, what you did is absolutely wrong, because this is, I think this isn't really possible. So simply go your way, check things out, and don't think about is it right or wrong. Yeah, it might be right to 90%. Okay, so have a nice weekend and see you next time. Bye bye.